Hello, fellow artists. Today's video is arranging my oil paints and a little bit painting with oils. So I will be talking about my art supply organization system in this video as I try to organize my oils and also show you some painting and talk a little bit about oil paint, which is a medium I'm relatively new to, but already have lots of thoughts on. So if you want to see that, then hang out with me, grab a cup of coffee or tea, and let's hang out and talk art supplies. If you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Rit. I'm an intuitive, color-led artist based in Austria and Europe, and on my channel, I share my artsy adventures. Before we get into things, I have a new course. It's called the Rainbow Method. It's not about painting rainbows. It is about strategies to get you painting with ease and joy, even when you're feeling really, really down. For the month of February, it is available for an introductory price of $97. At the end of February, 1st of March, it'll go back to full price, which is $147. So grab it while it's significantly discounted. It is self-paced. You can binge everything and have the best time curating your supplies, creating color palettes, and working with mixed media. I show you everything in the course. So I hope to see you there. I have an organization system for my art supplies. I call it the 3-step system. I talk a little bit more about it in the course, but I'm in the process of also writing this in a way that you can easily read and implement it. And my 3-step system basically means that you have 2 or 3 different places and ways to organize your supplies. So for example, with my watercolors, step 1 is my go-to palette that you see in all of my videos where I paint with watercolors. That palette has a specific place in a drawer that is within arm's reach and is easy to get. I don't have to dig around or do anything. I just open the drawer and take it out and put it on my table, and I can do that as I'm sitting next to my painting table. It has all of my superstar colors. If you want to see those, I have a dedicated video to that. And that is what I use daily when I'm painting with watercolors. Step 2 of that system is a drawer that is also very easy for me to reach, and that houses all of my watercolor tubes with the colors that I use the most. It's not every single tube that I own, but it's those that I tend to use during this season of life and art. Step 3, which I don't have for every single thing. Some I will just have like 2 steps, but in this case with watercolors, step 3 is a couple more boxes. I'm not going to tell you how many boxes that house additional palettes and paints. I tend to go through those and try and declutter and get rid of stuff with partial success. With watercolors, I think because I use that medium so much, I have a hard time letting go. But with other supplies, I'm better. But that is the 3 steps. These boxes are closed, they are clear, and they sit around in a Kallax unit from IKEA, or IKEA as you call it in North America. And they are relatively easy for me to get, but they are a little bit further away. You know, I have to get up, I have to take out a box, I have to open a box. So they house kind of the rest of my stash, things that I don't use daily. For pencils, for example, I have a 2-step system. One is this beautiful carousel that I also have a video for that, and that houses all of my current color crushes and pencils that I use the most. And then I have step 2 are a few containers hanging on the wall with additional colors from pencils that I love the most. I'm slowly decluttering just other kinds of pencils that I'm not really into. For example, I had a few sets from the Dreama watercolor pencils that I got years and years ago They're not my favorite. I don't really use them. So they're going to go to my kid or her, kind of school. Yeah. She has like afternoon care after school hours. So many times I donate to them things that I'm just no longer into. But when it comes to oils, my two-step system is I have two boxes. One is near my desk, so I can easily get to it, and that houses most of the colors that I'm into right now. And then I have another box in that same Kallax unit that is in my room. It's clear, I can see what's there. It's labeled, but it has colors either that I have doubles from or that I'm not really into. And the first step of the system, it's just not perfect. So everything was kind of in a pile in that white box. Didn't really work for me. So I'm trying to organize it, you can see, by color, because that's the way that my brain really, really enjoys. And in small containers in that box. That didn't really work. So it's a work in progress. You can see it's better now, and it's easier for me to kind of see what I have and use it in a way that works really well with my process, which is very color led. Again, I go into all the details in my current class, although in the class I don't use oils. I use watercolors, gouache, pastels, acrylic, no oils. Just because technically I'm relatively new to this medium and I haven't really found my jam yet. So I'm trying to see here how things are working and which colors I have. And as I am pouring out some of these colors, I am also decluttering from step 1 to step 2. So if I have colors that are very, very similar, I'm going to keep just one, the one that I'm in the moment loving a little bit more. And then the other one I'm going to put in that box that I have. So step 2, which is in that Kallax unit. Now, I have to say, with acrylics and watercolors, if I like the formula of the brand, if the paint is still, usable, hasn't gone bad or dark or hard or anything, I haven't decluttered those yet, because I figure that my color sense changes and develops, and so if the quality is good, I don't want to get rid of it. But if there are brands that I don't like, something is not working, then I try to immediately declutter or throw, or just get it out of my space. Now, another thing that I recommend to do when you're organizing something, when you receive something, a supply to your space, use it immediately. Use it as soon as possible and use it as much as possible, because sometimes, especially if you get like a large set of, pencils, you just don't know where to start. You want to keep it in that pretty box, and that's not serving its purpose. Art supplies are meant to be used, and I encourage you to do that. And even, you have your paint palette and you squeezed out some paint, even if you didn't use all of it, if some of it dries, it's not wasteful. This is part of the process, and I don't think it's possible to use every single drop of every single thing. So start using things quickly and get familiarized with the colors, with the formulas, and make mental notes or actual notes of what you enjoy and what doesn't really work for you. Now, me and oils, let's talk a little bit about that. So I have learned mainly from two teachers. One is Wendy Brightbiil and the other one is Dreama. Both wonderful, wonderful artists. And I would say what really draws me to both of them, besides their, lovely painting philosophy, which is really about the joy, and that's all I'm about as well, their use of color is glorious. And I am very, very color-led, as I mentioned before. And I'm really leaning into that with everything that I'm doing nowadays. And it's really fun to discover which colors really improve my mood and make me happy. So that's a big part of my artwork and crocheting these days, and also design. But yeah, I learned from both of them a lot, and I would say probably in practice, I think I'm in the direction of using oils like Wendy Brightbiil uses, which is with very little medium and a lot of palette knife work. With Dreama, I really love her color palette, is beautiful, but she uses a brush, and it's not about her. It's just like things I've tried and didn't. While I enjoy the result, the process is for me enough of a turn off to use the medium. So I'm trying to find ways that work for me. So obviously with brush, you have a different look and different options, and you get much better control than with a palette knife. But with oil paint, using a brush means that you have to clean it and sometimes use different kinds of mediums. And I know there are like all kinds of new things that are not, as toxic, and it's really not about that. But it's just when something has too many steps or it's like too annoying. I like to work at a certain pace. I like to use a lot of color. And for me, it's either I would need to use 10 brushes. Maybe I should just try that, or clean them all the time. And with oil paints, it's not like watercolor. You can't clean your brush so easily. It just gets all very labor intensive. And with a palette knife, you just wipe off the excess on some tissues, which I also don't like, but I do really enjoy. There's something about oils, and I've tried working with just like heavy body acrylics. It's not really the same, and there is really this like something extra yummy about oils. So I don't know, I'm trying to get my groove with this medium. And when it comes to colors, I feel like I need a couple more colors to create my perfect color palette. I think my problem is, you have tons and tons of colors in oils, and my two favorite brands are Holbein. They're Duo Aqua, which are like water soluble oils, just because I haven't tried their regular oils, so that's what I can get my hands on. And they have some great colors like ice green and luminous opera, I think it's called, and rose violet. Some really, really great colors. Holbein does pinks really well. I love their, watercolors. I love their acrylics. They make some fantastic, very vibrant, like fluorescent pinks. But it seems like in oil, despite the fact that there's like so many colors in a company's oil range, there's not a lot of fluorescent. And I really miss that when I'm painting when it comes to pinks and corals. And in acrylic, it's not a problem. And you can see that the first layer of this cradled wood is acrylic, and I have a lot of those colors that I'm talking about, like these luminous red, corally colors and pinks. So I'm on the hunt to find these in oil. I have a couple of colors, I think from Holbein again, that I need to try. And next week, when I'm recording this, I don't know when this will go up, but I am hoping to go to Vienna, and I'm going to go to their huge art store, which has a larger range than in the town next to where I live. It's a smaller town. So I'm going to Vienna, and there I'm going to look what kind of colors they have. Maybe I can hunt down some good options. If I think when I Googled it, I think one company came up, but I think they're US based, and they had some fluorescent oils, so that looks great, but I'm not going to order anything from the US with like shipping and customs. It's just not worth it. So we'll see if I can hunt something good in Vienna. And yeah, I really love when I paint with oils. My favorite surfaces are either cradled wood or canvas sheets. Like paper pads, but with canvas paper. So I really enjoy those, and they feel kind of less precious, and I feel like I can mess around a bit more. But yeah, I have to, I think, paint a lot more to discover how exactly I like to use these. Now, I'm just looking at the painting now as I'm editing the video. And the original idea was a bouquet of flowers. Again, very, very much inspired by Wendy Brightbiil. If you want to learn how to make these gorgeous, gorgeous florals, well, I've taken, I think, almost all her classes, and I still can't paint like her. Not that I want to paint like her. I want to paint like me, but I still would love to have her skills. So I was really inspired by that. I wanted to make like a nice floral piece. And I don't know, it's kind of like I'm in the middle of the process. Not everything is working for me. And with oils, it's just like a little bit tricky because, I mean, you can remove what you put. So maybe I should do that and just like remove some of the areas that I don't like. But yeah, it's just, because it takes it a few days to dry, like to surface dry, it's just a completely different process. So I haven't painted enough with oils to really find my jam, but hopefully that will happen because I do find it to be a really lovely medium. Medium is the word that I wanted. Okay, so after I painted, I realized that this system is not working that well for me. And so I decided to try this box that I have. The idea is to just have a box with all of the paints that I love and need, arranged in a way that I can just like pull it out from the cupboard and use it. Now, for my acrylics, I have a Rascock trolley dedicated to them, and on the top floor of that trolley, if you're probably familiar with it, it's like one of the iconic IKEA products, but everyone has now also a dupe for that. So you can find very similar things on Amazon and probably, the Michaels of the world and such. And so I have on the top floor of that my currently most used, most needed acrylic paints, my step 1. And then in the closet, my step 2. And then in a further away closet, step 3, like extra colors and brands. But for oils, I don't know. Maybe I should just buy another trolley and dedicate it to oils. I have to figure out if I have the space for it. It would probably be a good idea, helping me make them very approachable. That's not the word I want to say. Like very available to me. Because I have a small desk, that is one of the ways that I keep my room organized. At some point, I had 3 large desks in my room, and I thought that was my dream because I would have like all this surface to paint on. And what happened were piles. Everywhere piles, and I ended up with, barely having enough space for whatever it is that I was painting. And so what I switched to from 3 large tables, I switched to one small one that opens to a larger one in case I need it. And that works so well for me. That has significantly reduced my clutter. So if you also felt like, you created your craft room, your studio, and you thought you need like a ton of flat surfaces, like a huge desk and working surface, and what you find, I mean, If that works for you, great. I'm only telling you what didn't work for me and how I found ways that do work for me. So if you discovered that having large desks mean that you just have more mess and a lot of piles, consider getting rid of them. Yes, it can be a little bit intimidating because you think, okay, now I'll have to find a way to like store all these things. But with time and mindfulness and really, really being honest with yourself, with what supplies do you want to use and what supplies are just not serving you anymore in this season of your life, and accepting also the size of your container, the size of your room, the size of your storage unit, and just having to do with that, you will find ways to be a lot less messy. And for me, it has been a journey, but really working on this, the end result, well, it's not the end because it's an ongoing process. And with oils, I'm still not happy with this system, but I'm just showing you, I'm trying to work with what I have and figure out what I need with this specific medium. So the result has been that I use my supplies more. I know what I have and I paint more. And for me, for example, one of the things that I did is I now use almost exclusively, or I'm going to say exclusively, only artist grade supplies. Now, I don't think like everyone should do this. And I especially think it's definitely not needed for sketchbooks because those are protected from the elements. They're not going to get any sun exposure. There's no reason to think about like light fast issues or anything like that. But I want to use the things that I love the most and specific colors and combinations and formulas kind of everywhere that I paint on, whether it's a sketchbook or a canvas, a huge canvas, a piece of paper, it doesn't matter. I want to get to know the supplies and I want to use all the time supplies that I absolutely love. So I let go of a lot of, craft, student grade things and kept the best of the best. I know this is not for everyone and people have different circumstances and different budgets, but that is what has worked for me. And also for me personally, I used to do scrapbooking and I used to do a lot more of like mixed media, junk journals type of thing. And I had a lot of supplies that are no longer serving me. Some I still keep, but it's a lot more contained and I regularly declutter and purge and, donate and give to my kids. And things have just become so much easier and so much more manageable. Another great tip is to zone your space. So my studio has a painting area, an office area, a yarn area, and a library for books about yarn and art, and also old sketchbooks of mine, which I'm keeping and probably forever will keep. And if my kids want to get rid of that, I will not. I should probably write in my will that they should be free to do so, or donate it to a museum when my art is represented there, is presented there. But yeah, so one of the things that I think is very, very helpful, again, going together with the whole container concept. And if you don't know what I'm talking about Dana K. White book, which is called Decluttering at the Speed of Life. And I love her system and it has helped me tremendously to be less messy. And the whole house is transformed, not just because of her book. I actually read her book very recently, but it's just, a process, a journey that I've been on, fighting my messiness, fighting the clutter, and just realizing that I need fewer things. In some areas, fewer than others, right? I have a very minimalistic bedroom, but, in my studio, I live between my art supplies and yarn, and I love it. But still, I try to purge things that just don't make me happy. And there are a lot of them. And of course, there's always that battle, right? Maybe I'll need it later. maybe, but still it's about like finding that balance of what you love and need right now, what you have space for, and then what you should get rid of. So going back, I tried this other box. Right now this is the solution. We'll see. I think with another trolley, I'm not sure I have a convenient space for it right now. So I have to think about it. I will repurpose, because in my Raskok I have, there are 3 tiers to that. And the bottom shelf, like the bottom area, that is a little bit harder to reach right now, houses some watercolor palettes. A couple of them are the ones that I use when Lily, my daughter, wants to paint with watercolors. But I think I could probably just choose one palette for her to use and put it in a different place that is also easy for me to reach, because I really don't like it when she wants to paint something with me and then I have to spend like half an hour organizing things or looking for stuff that I'm okay for her to use, because I don't let her use my most favorite watercolors, because I go through a lot of them and they're expensive. And if you know how kids paint with watercolors, they make a huge mess and they use a lot of color. So she can use student grade paint. That I think that is very reasonable to ask of an 8-year-old. So she has, like, I have palettes that I use just with her, but I don't think they need that entire real estate. So maybe I'll move that and then move the oil box into that space, and then I can just pull it. The problem is that as I said, that I have a small desk, and so that's the nice thing about the trolley, that I can just like wheel it closer to me and use what is on it, and it doesn't take space from my desk. But thinking about it, right now I'm not really, I don't work with oils on large pieces, so I could probably, I would have space on a table. So maybe I'll do that. But going back to the painting, as I painted this, I moved some of the colors from step 1, the box that I want near me all the time, to step 2, the other box that is further away with colors I'm just not that into right now. And because everything is very clearly labeled, if I'm painting and, say I'm thinking, oh, it would be nice to have another shade of green, I can very easily go to that box and look through it and see if there is a shade of green that I like and want to add. Let's talk a little bit about oils. So I really, really love the Holbein. I mentioned those, the Aqua Duo, they're called Duo Aqua, because of their colors. But talk about colors. Nobody comes near Charvin. Charvin is a French brand. They have acrylics, they have oils. Their acrylics are also lovely. Again, the color range is beautiful. They do color so well. The acrylic line is not as big as their oils, and these are not cheap, but the quality is really amazing. Although I did have a few tubes of that small oil paint that are a little bit harder to use. So that makes it a little bit annoying, but most of them are okay. They have just a glorious, glorious color range. Just like everything you dreamed of. It's so good. And I might have to replenish a couple of colors that are just totally my colors. So with basic colors, every brand makes them. Like if you want ultramarine, you can find that in every single brand. I do like also with Charvin, I like their consistency because it's very, very beautiful to use and easy to use with a palette knife, which is how I use it. So I love the consistency. But yeah, it's all about their extra colors, like those special colors, the lighter colors. They have a beautiful range, so you can really create your perfect color palette. And I really want to challenge myself to just, use them more before I commit to buying. So wish me luck. And that is it. We are reaching the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this. Just very, very chitty chatty about oils. Let me know if you use oils, if you love them, how do you store yours, all the information I would love to know. And I wish you a wonderful day. I will see you soon in another video. Take care. Bye bye.